Alright, on to some Marvel books. I'm going to start it off with Marvels, #1. This is the book that turned me on to Alex Ross's artwork. Fantastic artwork. Great story told from the golden age to the modern age of Marvel Comics, told through the eyes of a reporter. And just kind of gives you a different look at superheroes and how they affect the world they live in. And, you know, again, just fantastic Alex Ross art. They have these really cool acetate covers as well. But it's one of my favorite stories, the whole mini-series, one of my favorite stories of all time to read. And, yeah, of course I had to include some X-Men. Used to be my favorite title. This is X-Men 28. This is my earliest X-Men. It's in pretty rough condition. But it's first appearance of Banshee as well, who starts out as a villain. And this is still great to have in any condition. Like I said, it's my earliest X-Men book. Didn't pay too much for it, but very, very happy to have that. Another X-Men book, X-Men 136. This is towards the end of the Dark Phoenix saga. You know, this is Chris Claremont, John Byrne, one of the greatest team-ups in comics history. Fantastic run on X-Men. Of course, I came in years after this. This is I believe I got this in a trade from I think it was from Tim Morant. But you know, classic cover, and that's after the death of Jean Grey. So very happy to have that book. Another X-Men book, and this is a great story. It's X-Men 143. The rest of the X-Men all go off to a Christmas party. Kitty Pryde is left in the mansion by herself, and she gets attacked by one of these. I think they're Ingrai, but they're extra-dimensional creatures, and she has to fight it and keep from getting killed all by herself. It's kind of scary, but it's a great read. It shows why she definitely deserved to be an X-Man. And then, of course, another X-Men book. Nothing special about this book except I read this in '92 when it came out. It was a little crossover event through the X titles called the Executioner Song, which, you know, I liked. But this was the issue after that was over. It's back when they would do a storyline and then it would have an issue or two in between where the characters had time to reflect on what happened, and they would move on to the next storyline. It's X-Men 297, or Uncanny X-Men 297. Basically, Xavier had been shot with a techno-organic virus. It was killing him. Apocalypse, of all people, ends up saving his life. One of the after effects of the techno-organic virus is he has the ability to walk again. He's told it's temporary, it may last a day, it may last just a few hours. Everybody is sitting around the mansion reflecting on the events that have happened. Jubilee is out rollerblading, comes across Professor X, and it's just a great issue of them talking, her explaining, you know, talking to him while, you know, how she sees Professor X, and she convinces him to go rollerblading. She ends up pushing him into a fountain. They get all soaking wet, and they're laughing, and he's having a good time. And the story ends with him walking off, and his ability to walk begins to fail again, and it ends with no dialogue between the two. She's just kind of sitting there, you know, just begging God or the universe or whatever to just let him make it to the mansion, and she has no idea what to say to him, so she doesn't say a thing. As he starts to falter, she just runs up and, you know, kind of puts her arm around him and helps him to walk off. And I thought it was a great story when I read it, and I still think it's a good story. I reread it the other night, and it still kind of hit that little spot, you know. Anyway, 34 minutes now. Good Lord. Next, I got Wolverine #1 from the his original limited series. Speaks for itself. Got it while it was still cheap. So then we have NYX #3. Picked this up for 20 cents last year. First appearance of X-23. And this is probably my most major Spider-Man key issue. I was happy to pick this up a couple years ago for $1. Amazing Spider-Man 194, first appearance of the Black Cat. It's a great cover, great character, and I was very surprised when I saw that. Had to snatch it up really quick. Alright, next, I've had this book for a long time. This is another book my mom picked up for me years ago. It was just right after it had come out, and that is Spider-Man #1, Todd McFarlane. It's another book. This is like, between this and The Death of Superman, those are the first two books that I actually got, and my mom paid more than, you know, just cover price. You can see that is an original sticker from the 90s. It was $26, still bagged, never opened it. I have a newsstand version of it as well. She didn't pay $26. The guy did give her a little deal on it, which I'm glad, because, you know, it didn't go on to become a $100, $200 book or more, but still, it's a book I've had for a long time. This is another book. I remember picking this up and got into this entire storyline that came afterwards from this. And I remember picking this up off a newsstand in a local grocery store. And this is my upgraded copy. My original copy is kind of beat up. I even took the poster insert out of the middle of it, which I am kind of ashamed to admit, but I mean, I was like 11 years old, so. But Amazing Spider-Man 361, first appearance of Carnage. Had to get an upgraded copy, but I still have my original. Like I said, it is beat up. It's beat up, as you can see. But you can see there, it is newsstand. I'm not going to open it and show the centerfold poster missing, but trust me, I took it out like an idiot. Next, character I've always liked, grew up watching these movies, so I had to pick this up. Godzilla #1. Got this a couple years ago, pretty cheap. Online store had, I think it was a 60% off sale, so I got it for just a few bucks. Same with this, Devil Dinosaur #1. It's Jack Kirby. It's a giant red Tyrannosaurus that's pretty smart. What else do you need? Got this, I think this is like one of the first purchases I made off of eBay a couple years ago. Strange Tales 168. This is the final issue before Doctor Strange and Nick Fury got their own titles. Really awesome cover. Picked this up not too long ago. Actually, my haul video with this in it probably isn't even up yet. So here's a preview. Journey into Mystery 111. It's not in the greatest shape, but it is the oldest issue featuring Thor that I have. Jack Kirby artwork, and still a fantastic cover, and it even tells you it's a fantastic cover. That's why they didn't include any captions. I saw that, man. It was cheap. This was just a few bucks. I had to pick it up. It's the first Journey into Mystery that I've seen out in the wild that wasn't in a glass case or something. Next, this is one of the earliest books that was given to me back when I was like 8 or 9, maybe 10 years old. And this is one of the books that kind of started my love of comic books. I even used this in a school presentation in 8th or 9th grade literature class. This is Marvel Spectacular #2 featuring Thor. It's also why Thor is one of my favorite characters. We were doing a thing about Greek gods. It features Zeus and Hercules, so I took this, included in my presentation, and also talked about some of the Norse gods, which we didn't really cover. I actually got the teacher to cover a little bit. We talked about them for like a day because I asked about the Norse gods and some of their legends so much. So that was fun to do. Another issue. I always really loved this cover. It's Marvel Spectacular 16 with Thor. This is where he is sent to Earth again with no powers, and was lucky enough to find the original issue that it is taken from, Thor number 145, a couple years ago at a local antique store. So, but yeah, this was given to me along with this, and there's a little stack of books about like that, and this is some of the earliest things that I had to start on my collection. I had read some comics before that, but that is what really got me started collecting, you know. And this is Thor 587. This is the final issue of the Ragnarok storyline. I really liked the end of the Thor storyline that they did in here, the Ragnarok. I thought it did the characters justice, and it was just, I really liked reading it. It went along with the Avengers Disassembled, but the way they ended Thor was very cool. The whole Ragnarok being a cycle that had happened over and over and over for centuries, I thought was a really cool aspect. And then just got this the other day. Thanks again, Matt. Marvel Premiere 57, first American comic book appearance of Doctor Who, my favorite Doctor, the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. And he sent this to me. It's signed by Walter Simonson. My first signature from Simonson, and fantastic cover. One of my favorite characters in any media. Grew up watching Doctor Who with my mom, and this was our Doctor. I was just talking to her the other day. Told her that I had gotten this book from a friend, and she's like, "Oh." A little jealous, but yeah, that brings up a lot of great memories with my mom. Alright, next, some books here. These are kind of mixed, but these are graphic novels and things like that. This, not exactly a comic book, but I think it falls in the same kind of category. This is a Big Little Book by Whitman. This is my original that I had at maybe 5 years old. It was in rough shape, when I had it as a kid because it still is older than I am. But I found this copy at the flea market earlier this year, I believe. It's in pretty good shape. It's got a little tape mark there on tape tear on the front, but a lot better condition than the one that I had. This is one of the earliest books that I remember reading. I had it when I was so young that I remember this book. You see how thick it is. I remember it in my mind. It's still, when I picture it, it still looks like it's that thick, you know, because when you're like 5 years old, that's a pretty thick book. But it's got you know, regular prose writing, and every other page or so is a little like comic type panel. So I think it belongs in, you know, same vein as comics. But it's definitely something that got me interested in literature with artwork mixed together, which is what comics are. Next is my first sketch cover that I got last year by James Lyle on this Batman Little Gotham. He did a cool black marker Batman sketch, and I just had to include that because it was my first sketch cover. Very cool. Then a few years ago, I had been out of comics for a while. Wanted to get back into reading some books. Had been out for a number of years. Didn't exactly know where to start. So I decided to pick up some trades at local bookstores, and ended up picking up some Thor. And this is when they when Thor and the other Norse gods returned. This is volume 3, and this has a great story. This guy here is just a regular human. Thor brings Asgard back in this little town out in Kansas or something like that. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's on Earth. This guy ends up kind of falling in love with this minor Norse goddess, and she ends up, you know, liking him. She invites him up into Asgard, and in this story here, some bad stuff goes down with Dr. Doom, but this guy ends up fighting on behalf of the Norse gods, especially this one woman, and he fights these evil guys. He's just a normal human, but he gives it everything he's got, and he ends up giving his life. You can see there, William the Warrior. It was a great read. I believe later he does end up going to Valhalla because, you know, he dies a warrior's death. But it was a great story. It got me back into comics. Another one that I picked up, and this is a larger trade, but this whole series here, the mini-series, was, at least in trade form, I thought was fantastic. This is one of the best crossover events I think they've done in modern times. And it's Final Crisis. It's one that ends with Batman being hit by the Omega Force, and it appears as if he's dead, but he's really just shooting through different time periods. Yeah, I thought it was a great read, the whole story. Okay. Ooh, 48 minutes, okay. Here's one I picked up. Classic X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills. This is X-Men done the way X-Men should be. It's a little darker than some X-Men stories, but it really spotlights the whole aspect of racism and things like that, prejudice that they deal with. Very, very good read. Another one, this is Jack Kirby's kind of End of the New Gods, the Hunger Dogs DC graphic novel. Was very happy to find that at a cheap price. Found it at a place that was 50% off all his labels, so I got it for $2. Great stuff. These last three are books I've had for a long time. First, everybody knows this Sandman. I got these from my mom, so this book has a lot of sentimental value. It's also a great read. It's Sandman, Sam Keith art through a lot of it. Just great stuff, great stuff. This is volume 1, I believe, Preludes and Nocturnes, Sandman. So it's another one I always recommend to anyone. Next is another book I got from my mom. It's like the first hardcover that I ever got. It's Ray Bradbury Chronicles. They were put out at the time by Topps Comics. But this has got some great adaptations of some Bradbury short stories. The Illustrated Man is a really good one. It also has April Witch, Trapdoor, Zero Hour, and The Visitor. Some great artwork there, you can see. P. Craig Russell. I always liked it. Very, very cool stories. You know, his stories always kind of end with a little twist. This Picasso Summer is a guy walking on a beach and he meets Picasso as an old man. Very cool. Very good stuff. And last, like I said, these are in no particular order. This isn't my #1 favorite of all time, but it's definitely up there. The Crow, James O'Barr, trade paperback. I got this just before the movie came out because I wanted to see, you know, what the movie was going to be all about. Fell in love with this story. Fantastic art. Great story. It's one of those that, I mean, there are places in here that'll make you cry. And like I said, I got it just before the movie came out, or maybe it was right after the movie came out, I'm not sure. But it's a later printing because it does have the little in memory of Brandon Lee. But fantastic story. Kind of opened my eyes to what indie comics were all about. Up to that time, it was mainly Marvel and DC. So, all right, that's my top 50 favorite comic books. I probably could have put a few more keys and things in there, but I really wanted to go with you know, stories that I enjoyed reading over and over, and things like that. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Super long video, sorry, but it's 50 books and trying to talk a little bit about each one. So thanks for anybody who hang in there and watched the whole video. I appreciate it, and that's why I did my tags at the beginning. But just to go over that again, I'm gonna tag Michael Jocko, Adam Day, Why Not Art, and Gimpy 204. So that'll do it. You guys take care. Appreciate it. Hope you like my top 50. If not, anyway, take care, guys, and keep reading those books. Later.